5 things that I think you should know before going into this surgery. So I've made a big, huge list of things that I feel that are important to know before you go into surgery. Not necessarily cautionary tales, but just things that I wish I would have known before I went into surgery, or things that I wish I would have realized more before going into surgery. Some of these things I knew, but I didn't really realize how much of a big deal they actually were. I've compiled a list of about 20 things that I wish I would have known before going into surgery. Now, some of these things I actually did know, but I didn't realize the extent of them before I actually went into surgery. So I'm going to share 5 of them with you today, and then I will make more videos and share the rest of them. These are not necessarily the most important. They're just 5 that I took off the list that I'm sharing with you today. The first one is people are curious. Okay, so you've gone and done this rapid weight loss and people want to know how you did it, how you accomplished such a great feat in your life. And what you tell them is entirely up to you, but you should be prepared as to what you're going to actually say to people. Is it what I first started saying to people is hard work and determination. That's how I got it done. And then I got to the point where I really liked this coaching gig. I liked talking to you guys on YouTube. I liked expanding my sphere on Instagram and Facebook and truly including the entire community in. So I got to the point where I started sharing my story. And for me, it was more because I wanted people to realize that it was hard work. It is hard work. There was a tool involved. However, it's still a lot of hard work. And I wanted people to realize that and know my whole story before they started following me on my plan and getting frustrated with not seeing the same exact results that I saw. So people are going to be curious. After all, I've lost almost 100 pounds in 7 months. That's a lot of weight. And if somebody else is struggling with their weight, they're going to be very curious how I did it and how I was successful. And I have no problem sharing that with people. Now, I have heard horror stories of friends and family all of a sudden, not supporting people or thinking of them as taking the easy way out, just giving them this negative talk about the tool that they had. Well, I haven't experienced that. So I guess I'm fortunate in that I do share my story. When people ask me how I lost my weight, I tell them it was 3 parts. I tell them that I got my mind right because I discovered I was addicted to food. I had surgery to remove about 2/3 of my stomach, and I used that tool to start my weight loss. And third, I got into a fitness program that I really love in order to make it so my body is not only lean but healthy. That's what I tell people. So whether or not they want to jump on board or they want to go for a different path, that is entirely up to them. That's not up to me. However, my point is people are curious. So figure out what it is that you're going to say to them and how you are going to be comfortable explaining your weight loss. Not that you need to explain it, but people will ask. All right, my next one is water is everything. I am 7 months post-op and I still struggle to get water in. And I know that is my problem. I know plenty of people who have had surgery and have had 0 problems getting water in. And I've also known people who have been so dehydrated they've had to go to the hospital and get IVs. Now, I haven't been dehydrated. However, it is very rare that that I consume more than 20 ounces of water in a day. Now, I do count my protein shakes as water because I do make them with water. I do not count my coffee because it's a diuretic, so it just kind of goes through me. So I count my protein shakes, I count my water, and I always flavor my water. I have a hard time drinking plain water. Of course, I have a hard time drinking flavored water too. So water is very, very, very important. So get into the habit of drinking as much as possible every single day. Now, at first, your stomach won't be able to tolerate as much water right after surgery. Then you'll be able to tolerate it more and more, which is great. I have discovered that testing out and using different types of water bottles or lids, those kinds of things, has helped me consume more water. At this point, I use a straw. I know that a lot of people, it's taboo to use a straw after weight loss surgery. I haven't heard anything from my surgery center that says one way or the other. I waited till about 5 months to actually try a straw. And at that point, I knew how much I can consume in one bite or one swallow of water in order to be safe. And so I do use a straw. I do not gulp. I've heard that people can gulp at some point after surgery. I don't. I'll have a sip and then I walk away and then I'll come back and have another sip. I do keep my water on my nightstand all night long, and so in the middle of the night when I wake up, I do have sips of water. I keep it at my desk all day long. However, I'm wearing a mask at my desk all day, so I think I would be more successful drinking water if I didn't have to do this every single time I went to have a drink. As it is, every day I start my day with a full bottle of water. It's about 25 ounces. An 8-ounce cup of coffee, and about a 10-ounce superfood shake. And I usually consume the superfood shake and most of my coffee and have a sip of water at the end of the day. And that's over an 8-hour shift. So my advice to you is practice now, get the water in, figure out how you're gonna do it to be successful for your weight loss journey. Wasting food. Now this one is a big one, and this one was hard for me at the beginning. When you first start cooking for your family and yourself after weight loss surgery, the amount of food that you can consume is so vastly different from what you could consume before. So thinking about and making recipes that yield 4 servings for 4 people is more of a reality than taking a recipe, doubling it, making it 8 servings for 4 people, because we're Americans and we have to have big servings, right? And then having some leftovers and eating those later. So now what I do is I take a recipe and I just make it 1 over. So I don't double it anymore. I just make 1. And that has saved us a lot of money on groceries, which is a surprise and not something I was going to talk about on this video, but you do save money on groceries. So I take and I cook 4 servings for 4 people. There are 5 of us that live in the house and I have 3 teenagers. So I make 4 servings. I take out my little itty bitty bowl, put my food in it, and then everybody else comes and eats. We rarely have leftovers. We do sometimes. But at first, I was cooking the same way after surgery as before surgery. And that caused a lot of waste because I wasn't eating my full portion like I was before. And so my portions were much smaller. So we had a lot more food left over. And I don't know if you know teenagers very well, but if they don't necessarily like dinner and they tolerated it just to be nice, they're not going to go in and eat it for leftovers. So we had a lot of wasted food at first. Now I really have learned more how to eat, and I'm incorporating what I eat into what the kids and my husband eat. So I control dinner. I choose what's for dinner, and it's generally protein packed, and there's very little leftovers, but the amount of food wasted at first was a lot because I was making food just for myself. I was using regular portion sizes, and And then what I would do is I would separate them out in containers, eat my first portion, and then never be able to get to my last few containers because the food would go bad before I got to that point. So wasting food, that is a huge one. And if you have a problem wasting food, then definitely look at the recipes you're making and scale them back versus making more like what you're probably used to now. Rapid weight loss equals muscle loss. So part of the reason why you're eating so much protein every day is to combat the muscle loss. So your body will consume the protein, make it into muscle, and then just flush out all of the fat, and the fat is what you're losing. Well, I was shocked at how much muscle mass I actually lost. And I work out 3 to 5 times a week, but I can tell when I go from one certain workout to another. So for instance, if I am lifting weights with my upper body and then I change over to a running routine workout where it doesn't have the weightlifting portion, I can tell when I go back to lift weights how much muscle I have lost in that short amount of time. And it might only be a couple of weeks, but instead of lifting 10 or 15 pounds, I might be back at the 5 pounds. So muscle loss during your rapid weight loss was a shock to me. I highly suggest that when your doctor clears you for exercise, that you start exercising. You start lifting weights, you start getting that cardio in. And I'm not saying you have to do it every day. And I'm not saying you have to go out there and max out your weightlifting. Go out and get some 2-pounders, some 5-pounders, right? Do some squats without weights. Things like that you can help retain your muscle mass and still lose body fat. Now, remember, the more muscle mass that you have, the more fat you'll burn because muscle burns fat, and your fuel will be turned into muscle instead of more fat. Therefore, you're not fighting and continuously suffering with this whole weight loss journey. You'll get to your goal weight faster and you will have definition in your body. I was told several times how slowly I would have to eat when I had my weight loss surgery. And I tried to practice before I had my surgery. I did not realize how much slower I needed to eat than what I was practicing pre-weight loss surgery. I bought toddler plates, I bought baby spoons, and I would eat with these tiny spoons, and I did not realize then that I would need to eat slower than what I had practiced. So post-op, your stomach is a lot slower, and it takes your mind a little while to figure that out and catch up. And so eating slow, what that does is it allows you time to figure out that you're full and to stop eating before you get too full. So if you eat fast and you just scarf food, even if it is the right amount of food, so I eat about 4 ounces at my meal. Even if it is the right amount of food, eating very fast, it goes in your stomach super fast, and then you get full, and then it hurts. Like, it physically hurts. I wouldn't say that it's excruciating, but it's very uncomfortable. And so eating slower really helps with that. Eating slower, maybe eating your food over about a 30-minute period and truly taking the time to enjoy what you're eating. And then when you start feeling full, stopping. Because when you start feeling full, your body is actually more full than what you're feeling. And if you keep eating, or if you finish what's in your bowl or on your plate or whatever, then you're going to be over full, and then you're not going to feel great. It hurts in your stomach area. It hurts for me in my back sometimes. I have to go take walks. One of my indicators that I am full is my right nostril will run. So my nose gets runny, and I will hiccup one time. So I know everybody's tell is different, and that did not happen to me before surgery, but after surgery, runny nose and one hiccup, and that's how I know I'm full. So when I'm done eating and I'm walking around and I do my hiccup, my daughter looks at me and she says, "Why'd you eat so much?" Anyways, they all know my tells now, and they all look out for me, which is really nice. And you won't go back for seconds. Get the right portion containers. I use little dessert dishes. That's usually what I eat my food in. If I have food that I don't want to touch necessarily, I'll use a dessert plate. I don't use my toddler spoons anymore. I use regular forks and spoons because I've learned and taught myself over time how to eat. Eat those small bites, drink those small sips, and get your story down. What do you want to tell people? It's your story. You can tell them whatever you want, but make sure that you are comfortable with the information that you're giving out. Do you want to tell people that you had surgery, or do you want to keep that personal? It's entirely up to you. Wasting food. Just get into the habit of making less. You might not have leftovers, but so what? You can make more food later. Have some yogurts on hand, or some cheese, or lunch meat, something like that, that if you're still hungry, your family's still hungry, that they can have a snack. All right, so that was just my first 5 things that I wish I knew going into surgery, or I wish I would have realized more. Like I said, some of these I knew, but I didn't realize how much it would actually affect me, or how much I would actually need to pay attention to these things. I've got about 15 more to share with you, and I'll do it over several different videos, but these were the first 5. So I hope you enjoy. I love having you here on my journey. Thank you for being on this journey with me. It means a lot to me that you are watching these videos and that I can share my experience with you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you want to know when I post a new video, hit the bell so that you'll get notified. Thank you.